Brilliance Audio presents Stage 4 by Santa Kollaard. Translated by Michelle Hutchison. Performed by Stefan Rudnicki. Niels Holgersen, holding on to the neck of Martin the gander, followed the lead goose, Aka, toward Öland. They flew above a sea that was smooth as a mirror. Niels found it confusing. Heaven and earth merged. He didn't know what was up and what was down, and thought they were flying higher and higher into the sky. He didn't recognize the bellies he saw below him as the reflection of birds' bodies in the blue water of the Baltic Sea. He thought the geese were flying on their backs. And when they approached Öland and disappeared into the mist rising from the island like wheeling white clouds, the geese became disoriented too, until Aka made out the dull thud of the fog cannon being fired on the southern tip of the island, which told her exactly where they were. When, in the coldest weeks of the winter of 1968, Sarie unfolded the map of Öland, she saw an elongated shard, snapped off the Swedish east coast. She suspected a history of plate tectonics, a tale of pleats and wrinkles that the tugging innards of the planet had left in its skin. But she remembered, too, in one of Selma Lagerlöf's books, an old shepherd explaining that Öland had been born from the decaying body of a giant butterfly. Peering at the map, she could make out the butterfly's body, slender and elegant, but also helpless and maimed without its wings. She liked the image because it reminded her of that wonderful metamorphosis, the egg, the caterpillar, the cocoon, and then the butterfly. Life at its lightest, the improbable colors and patterns, that touching whirring, a life expectancy of just a few days or weeks. Öland, a butterfly's body submerged in the sea, mummified by chalk deposits, gradually becoming overgrown, populated, built upon. Niels and the geese arrived at the southern tip of the island, Södra Udde, where the fog cannon was fired. After a few days, fed and rested, they continued their journey northward, up along the length of the island. Sarie traced the bird's trajectory on the map with her finger. About a third of the way up the island, she spotted Blessinge's little harbor on the east coast. Sarie's finger continued to circle the harbor. It was where she would be going next summer. She pulled the map toward her and took a good look. The topography of the harbor made her think of a curious, angular bite taken out of the coastline. It looked like a lonely place, sitting uncomfortably on the border between an old man-made landscape and a much older sea, at odds with both. It protected itself from the sea with an unsophisticated breakwater that ran more or less straight across the double harbor mouth. It turned its back on the landscape, fields, crops, a few strips of trees, with total indifference. It lay there in strange isolation, a geographical foreign body, as though a malicious fish had taken a bite out of the butterfly, a bite that had then filled up with water, creating a double inlet, brought into line by a quay built up with sheds and warehouses, and the racks the fishermen hung their nets on. Sarie, shivering in a sweater, the Dutch winter showing in icy flowers on the window panes, moved her face closer to the map and tried to hear the sounds that would go with the scene, the murmur of the sea, the sighing of the wind, the cry of a bird.